Hello everyone, welcome to Hue at Home. I'm Tracy Koga. Last week we talked about the power of music. Today we're going to talk about the artists, the vendors, and the venues, and what it means not only to the musicians, but to us, the public. I have board member Julie Fowler. She is with the Dream Cafe, a beautiful place located in Penticton, BC. So let's hear what Julie has to say on their 20th anniversary. Well, from sunny Penticton, well, it's sunny and beautiful in the summer, but anyways, it's always good to get in touch with people across Canada. So, Julie, welcome to Hue at Home. It is so nice to have you here, and a really, I guess, special year, 20th anniversary for the Dream Cafe. And for some of us here in Winnipeg and Manitoba, the Dream Cafe, what is it?
Yeah, so it's well known to touring musicians from across this country, and I know word has spread through those musicians to people across the country. It's kind of like the living room of Penticton. It's the kind of place where you can go and see the most amazing live music in this beautiful environment, and you're always, yeah, it's beautiful sound, beautiful space, very intimate, just a beautiful listening room. And it's so beloved by the people of Penticton and the Okanagan. It's like so many venues, it kind of, it's always a challenge to keep it running. And the Dream Cafe has had its challenges over the years. And really, it's such a testament to the support from the community that it's still here. And, obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about it. COVID's been quite an intense time for the Dream and for so many venues to have to close. And but we are feeling excited about being able to open fully again.
Oh, yes, indeed. And the 20th anniversary, for anything to last 20 years is amazing. So the board, and you are a board member, you've put together, I guess, a very special music series that has been, I guess, weighing both for COVID and for live. So let's talk about this exciting series.
Yeah, so it is the 20th anniversary of the Dream Cafe, and with that, being in COVID times, we had to look at pivoting. And over the years, I'm actually new to the board of the Dream Cafe, but I've been part of the Dream for many years, going as an audience member and just loving it. And I ran a festival in Wells, BC called the Arts Wells Festival for 17 years. And and Pierre and Deborah, who were the original proprietors of the Dream Cafe, they would always let me come in to the Dream, kind of sneak in the back and watch all the different artists, because they knew I ran a festival and, I knew some of the artists, but also getting exposed to new artists. So that was such an amazing gift that I got over the years. And so after receiving that gift for so many years, I've now have the opportunity to kind of give back by being on the board. So I'm new to the board and kind of being on the organizational side, but certainly have been, for the last 15 years that I've lived in Penticton, I've benefited greatly from it. And so, we knew we wanted to do something that could keep that community engaged, keep artists working, and, kind of just work with the situation we had. I also have to say, this probably wouldn't have happened without some government funding. We are really happy to get support from the federal government and the provincial government, Creative BC and Factor, which we had never as an organization. I mean, it's a for-profit. It actually runs as a co-op these days, a for-profit co-op. Prior to that, it was just straight up, private business. And so it's never been able to access funding. And kind of with COVID, that was sort of one of the gifts of COVID, was getting access to some funding that helped support this program. And over the years, people have often said, "Oh, is this show, like, is there any recording, or did you record any of the shows? We'd love to it just even the idea of creating an archive of all this incredible music that really documents this, mostly Canadian artists from, over time. And so finally, all these things kind of came together to create the opportunity to actually do high quality video and audio recordings of the shows. Having smaller audiences, like 50%, because we did open in the fall and we were able to have those 50% audiences, allowed us to have the space to have a camera person in there that wasn't too disruptive. We're still learning how to do that best, but we have a great person, Mark Greenhall, who does our production, and he's got the camera and the film set up. So yeah, we have started recording. We're lucky that we had some performances, so now we've got those great recordings, and slowly we are releasing those. So we've only released a couple so far, but we're really excited to have quite a few more. And I think you're gonna roll a little bit of J.W. Jones, who's one of the ones we've recorded. So we're it's exciting. And of course, as exciting as it is, we are just so excited to get back to actual live. But we're, now that we've learned about how to do the recordings, we're going to keep doing that. So, and whether it becomes more of an archival thing, whether people will be, there's a lot of screen fatigue, as things open up, will people want to watch online? But yeah, whether it's just for archival to just document this incredible music, or we're using it as our main way that people can access music. Either way, it's a really great thing for us. So,
well, and no doubt, and it is a sign of the times too, right, Julie? It's with everything, you have to be online regardless, and it could be like a favorite concert that they can play over and over again, when they have friends over for dinner, and hey, let's watch this again. So I think that you're onto a good thing. And whether it's archival or not, music is so important. And I want to give props to, I think Sweet Alibi did a show there, and it's always good. So let's talk about the artists, Julie, a little bit, because you were part of that curated group. What were you looking for, or was there a sound or something that would resonate, that celebrating the 20th anniversary for the Dream Cafe?
Well, definitely, the traditional Dream music has leaned more into the blues and into folk, Americana, those kinds of styles. So that's definitely where a lot of these artists are drawn from. Many of them are artists that have performed at the Dream before, and so that's kind of carrying on that tradition. And also we had artists that were supposed to have performed, and we were waiting to get them on stage. So that was an opportunity to kind of bring some of those people in that we had wanted to, we had previously had planned to have. But then also bringing in some new voices. And this is kind of, we're looking to really expand what the genres are that are presented at the Dream, trying to bring in new audiences, and just, Penticton, like so many places, have lost a lot of venues. And we used to have 3 or 4 venues. We still have, there's a local brewery, Slackwater, that's kind of taken up the charge and is doing more live music. But, there's an opportunity for the Dream to really be more available to other genres. So bands like, there's this incredible Indigenous artist, Curtis Clearsky. He kind of goes by Indigifunk, is one of his sort of monikers, and he brings in a whole bunch of different styles of music, and definitely different genres than we've had at the Dream Cafe. So we're excited to bring those kind of artists. We have people like Harry Manx, who have probably performed. I mean, I don't know how many times Harry has performed at the Dream Cafe. Always well received, and then Sweet Alibi. I know they're from Winnipeg,
Yes.
aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I mean, they're such a fantastic group, and they're sort of more harmonies, folk. They kind of cross genres a little bit, but it's I mean, we're looking Curtis also brings, kind of hip hop and that kind of style. So we're wanting to branch out. So that was kind of where we went with this. I mean, Lila Bialy brings jazz. We wanted a real diversity of music, and kind of, holding to our roots, but also adding some new elements, because that's sort of the direction we're wanting to go as we grow into the future.
Wow. Well, we're going to continue our conversation because, Julie, I want to know sort of, what the music is like there in BC, and can we compare it to Manitoba, and what does the Dream Cafe and other venues mean to these artists, and what is, like you said, going to look like in the future. But first of all, here's a taste of what you can see on the dreamcafe.ca website. This is a performance from J.W. Jones. This is Hue at Home.
So for now, we're going to play this song. It's a tune by Ray Wiley Hubbard, and we rearranged it. But the lyrics are truly some of the greatest lyrics I ever heard. And here it is. It's a Snake Farm. Well, the woman I love, her name's Ramona. She kinda looks like Tempest Storm. She can dance like Little Egypt. She worked down at the Snake Farm. Snake Farm, it just sounds nasty. Snake Farm, pretty much is Snake Farm. It's a reptile house. Snake Farm. Ooh. Well, Ramona's got a keen sense of humor. She got a tattoo down her arm. It's of a python eating a little mouse that's wearing a sailor's hat that says Snake Farm. Snake Farm, it just sounds nasty. Snake Farm, pretty much is Snake Farm. It's a reptile house. Snake Farm. Ooh. Yeah, so I asked Ramona how come she works there. She said, well, it's got its charm. There's nothing to do in the winter, and now and then some kid gets bit at the Snake Farm. Snake Farm, it just sounds nasty. Snake Farm, pretty much is Snake Farm. It's a reptile house. Snake Farm. Ooh. Liquor and a band from Wales called The Alarm. She says she cried when they broke up, but she still plays their records at the Snake Farm. Snake Farm, it just sounds nasty. Snake Farm, pretty much is Snake Farm. It's a reptile house. Snake Farm. Ooh. Well, sometimes Ramona calls me up. She says, come on down here, it's getting warm. She runs everybody off and we, it's a Snake Farm. Snake Farm, it just sounds nasty. Snake Farm, pretty much is Snake Farm. It's a reptile house. Snake Farm. Ooh. Snake Farm, 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 Snake up? Ooh, say what, say what, say what? So tell me what's up. Tell me what's up. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I know what's up. What's up? Say I'm begging you. And I'm wanting you. So tell me what's up. Tell me what's up. You know what's up. Ooh, say what, say what, say what. You know what's up.
Well, welcome back to Hue at Home. That was J.W. Jones, part of the Dream Cafe 20th anniversary music series, and I have board member here, Julie Fowler. And Julie, too, you come with a wealth of experience. Now, it could be from sneaking in through the back door and getting a sneak peek at all of those artists like you told us in the beginning at the Dream Cafe, but running a festival, you know it firsthand. What is the state of the land on music festivals moving forward in 2022?
It's confusing, and I'm feeling kind of relieved that I shouldn't say I'm not running a festival anymore, because me and my partner Paul, who runs the Penticton Art Gallery here in Penticton, through that we're starting a new festival here in March called the Ignite the Arts Festival, which will be
Cool.
a lot of community artists as well as bringing artists in. So and I work with an Indigenous festival called Two Rivers Remix, kind of just giving them support, and they're an incredible festival. But yeah, I was on a call last week with the BC Music Festival Collective, which is a group that came together through the pandemic to try and share information and find out what each other are doing and how to go through this together. And there's a lot of confusion, even just interpreting what the guidelines are right now. And I'm sure it's the same in Manitoba. BC, it's got guidelines, but they're not 100% clear. And even having the people who are the main source of information and have been the main conduits for information from government to the industry, it's not clear. So people are trying to plan. It's really hard. We don't know what it's going to look like in the summer, and so it's a big challenge. And then the other piece, besides the guidelines, is just how the public will feel about coming together again. And I know there's Act Safe, which is our sort of provincial safety guild for live music, is doing a conference in February, and they're bringing in a speaker from England who's going to speak about that very thing, about what they're seeing in England in terms of audience comfort levels and what kind of things you can do to make the audience more comfortable, and also just the fact that people aren't buying tickets as readily. So yeah, it's tough to navigate. I mean, and I just feel so for the artists and all the production people. I mean, that's another element, is will those production people still be around 2 years later? A lot, I know in BC, it might be similar elsewhere, a lot have gone to the film industry, because that's an industry that's kept going, and film pays a little more than what live music does. So, and will the vendors still be available? Are people still, all those great vendors that we rely on to bring food and also, beautiful fair, arts and crafts and things like that? Will there still be people who, or have they had to pivot, do something different? So it's big questions on just those, toilets, every little piece that you kind of just rely on, and you get the contract year to year, and you figure out who your people are. It's a lot. On an industry where the margins were always very narrow, and people were always putting a lot of extra in through the passion, to add all of this stuff on top, it's tough.
Well, and so look at this, and I mean, you'd mentioned your partner too involved in the arts, and Ignite the Arts, and I love that word, ignite, because the arts and culture have been hit so hard, and you just talked about every single thing. Why? My fear is that passion just going to crumble? And you'd spoken about the BC Collective, and I know all those dear, like wonderful small festivals that artists and us, the people, love. We don't know like what's going to happen to that. So that is really, really sad. And it brings me back again to a place like the Dream Cafe. And you spoke so warmly about, it's Penticton's living room, and we could get that kind of intimacy, that one-on-one with an artist that we don't get in a big arena. Do you think that that's going to be like phase one of getting us, the public, feeling more comfortable?
Mm-hmm. Totally. I think that's where there's an opportunity for the arts to be that way to ease people into being together again. And I think it's just so important that we can be together in community. I know people have been craving it. It's so hard, people being isolated from one another. We're social beings. We want to be together, and music is an especially connecting force. And I know from working with my colleagues across the country in venues and in festivals, they are really wanting to make sure people feel comfortable, doing everything they can to ensure safety. And so I feel like we've got a big role to play. And like you, it's like, oh, are we going to have those passionate individuals? What I've seen so far is people are still just so, they really want to keep doing this work. And the artists still want to keep doing this work and have managed to make it, to stick it out. And I know some have had to take jobs elsewhere and all those sorts of things. But yeah, I am really hopeful. And I think, knowing the people working in this industry across the country, that there's a lot of passionate people that really care and realize their role in community. That the arts are just so fundamental to bringing people together, to creating community, allowing those spaces for conversation, those places for connection, and doing it, through art. It's a really important thing, and I'm feeling hopeful about that. I mean, maybe if the pandemic is still going on a year from now, I might have reached my breaking point, and maybe others would have too. But yeah, we're remaining hopeful, and I think you touched on the importance of a venue like the Dream Cafe and venues like the Dream Cafe across the country for artists, and we know it, and we want to, that keeps us going in terms of working hard to make this work, is to support those artists, because we know how they're so important to the fabric of our society, the fabric of our culture, and holding our communities together.
Oh, no doubt. So for you, Julie, what are your favorite Dream Cafe moments?
Oh, there's so many. One of my favorite artists that actually now resides in Winnipeg there is Ridley Bent.
Oh, yes.
And and I remember seeing an amazing show with him at the Dream Cafe. He's come a number of times. Oh man, there's, it's almost like the shows all kind of blend together, because it's just that feeling that I get from going there. Also, I have to say, David Francie, I had never seen him live and saw him at the Dream Cafe, and he's such an amazing storyteller as well as singer. And it was at that moment that I'm like, we need to get him to Wells for the festival that I was running. And so that blossomed into a beautiful connection and relationship. And we brought him up to Wells along with Craig Worth, who's a musician that David was performing with that time when I saw him. And they both taught a songwriting workshop up in Wells. And we actually brought David back a couple times to do that. And that was just wonderful. So yeah, it's those connections and meeting with friends and seeing this beautiful music and.
Oh, well, you know what? I truly want to make the drive or the plane trip to come to the Dream Cafe. That is definitely a must, and hopefully maybe this summer You know, that'd be a wonderful trip. And, you know, thank you so much, Julie, for taking this time. Please, everybody, I know like right now we're kind of living in limbo, but there's nothing greater than some good music. So check out the website, thedreamcafe.ca. Congratulations, celebrating 20 years and hopefully 20 more years. Places like,
For sure.
yeah, places like the Dream Cafe are really, really important. And good luck with Ignite the Arts and your BC Music Collective. Please
Thank
keep
you.
keep in touch because we're here to spread the word of
Okay.
anything that can get us back together again.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So the Hive is a climbing and fitness facility, so we're bouldering only, which means no ropes or harnesses. We use mats for protection. But the 4 pillars of our business are climbing, education, health and wellness, and community, and those aspects all kind of come together to create like a 5-star climbing experience.
Welcome back to Hue at Home. We want to give a special thank you to all of our guests on today's show and leave you with this question. What will be the first music festival that you'll go to see? We want to know, so send us an email to hello@ilikehue.com or message us on Facebook and Instagram at iLikeHue. But for now, stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next time on Hue at Home.